Next panel, I am super pumped about because we actually get to hear from all the kids who are out there playing every day. Imagine that, listening to the children. So what we're going to do next, and this is a recently launched program with the LA84 Foundation called the SAMBassadors, named after Sam the Eagle, of course, and for students, wait, I know this one, Renata, Students in Action. That's what I knew it. Student Athletes in Motion. So SAMBassadors, and this is a new advisory panel that the LA84 Foundation has brought on 11 to 17-year-olds that they've brought in to talk about what they'd like, what they don't like, what could get better, how they can help with programming, all these great things by getting them actively engaged in the conversation. And here is a short video to tell you about the SAMBassador program.
Objects in motion tend to stay in motion, and that's the driving principle behind LA84's Student Athlete in Motion program. We support young athletes and their goals because some of the best ideas come from bright young minds.
The SAM program is a group of kids that get together and discuss LA84 and their programming and their outreach. We offer a unique view on what's happening now and what we see around us.
Not every athlete has the opportunity to swim. I was one of the youth that benefited from day one. So I started at 11 years old and I worked towards becoming an athlete in a high school program. Through LA84, they've had the opportunity to make that dream possible.
I knew once they called on me and everybody paid attention to me, I just knew that, yeah, these are guys that want to do something that I want to do as well, which is make a change.
This year, we wanted to give voice directly to the kids that we serve, and so the SAMBassadors are representative from the Northeast San Fernando Valley to the south, to the east, to the west, to really be able to help the work that we do in a much more impactful way.
The LA84 Foundation, it is the heart and soul of sport embodied by none other than Sam the Olympic Eagle. How did you get here?
Their voices are powerful, and with our support, their dreams become everyone's reality. They are Student Athletes in Motion.
I'm Emily Eisner.
My name is Stephen Marks. My name is Sarah Joy.
And I'm a student athlete.
I'm a student athlete in motion.
We have 5 student athletes in motion who are going to be on the panel today, and it is going to be moderated by the one and only Olympian Gary Hall Jr. You may remember this about Gary. Gary won 10 Olympic medals, by the way, 10 between the Olympics of 1996 to 2004, and he did all of this with type 1 diabetes. Gary has been a leading voice to advocate for diabetes advocacy for over 17 years now. So ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Gary Hall Jr.
Hello, hello. So I was promised the fun session, and this is, I would say, going to be a lot of fun, but I would also add to that that when determining and talking about youth sport, the most important voice in the room is youth, is that of youth. And so here we have those most qualified to address youth sport, in my opinion. And I remember at one point in a meeting similar to this, it was with the tech industry, and they had, talking about the polling and the interaction with kids that they did. Youth sport, there was like this kind of realization at the moment that youth sport needed to do more of that. As adults, we think we know what's best, but here are the real experts on youth sport. Let's go down the line, starting at this end, and I want you to introduce yourself, tell me what sports you play, and the organization that you're associated with.
Yeah, so hey everybody, my name is Ezra Freck. I play basketball and track and field. I'm doing middle school track and field this year, and I hold 14 national records in it. I play club basketball, and I'm the co-founder of the nonprofit Angel City Sports, and we provide sports programming equipment, and competitions for athletes with physical disabilities in Southern California.
Hi, my name is Jair Douglas. I'm in the 9th grade. I attend Augustus F. Hawkins. I play basketball, football. In the spring, I'll be running track. And the program that I'm with is Brotherhood Crusade.
Hi, I'm Sarah Joy Salib. I currently play water polo and I dive at Venice High School, and I also am part of a club at UCLA and Westside Aquatics for water polo. I'm coaching right now with the LA City organization that kind of works with LA84 to help athletes through the novice program become better athletes.
Hi, I'm Kayla Novak. I cycle and I play tennis at Redondo Union High School, and I'm associated with Connie Cycling Foundation.
I'm Emily Eisner, and I'm a senior at Sierra Canyon High School. I've been a soccer player since I was 5. I also run track and cross country, and I'm the president and founder of an organization called Play It Forward, which is something I started about 5 years ago to provide sports equipment to deserving youth throughout LA. And over the past 5 years, we've raised about $120,000 to provide grants of sports equipment to 47 schools and reach 31,000 students in LAUSD.
All right. When I was a young, skinny swimmer, I remember that every time practice was over, that run to the locker room from the swimming pool, I had a grin on my face from ear to ear. Tell me, what makes you smile in sport? What's the funnest thing about sport that you play? Ezra?
Probably just the competition, because I like to compare myself against the people that I'm competing against, whether they're able-bodied or they have a disability. And then also sports is like an escape for me. It's somewhere where I have a bad day or a good day. It's somewhere where I can go where all the problems, all the worries, everything that happened during the day just doesn't apply to me anymore. I'm not disabled anymore. I'm normal. I'm just like one of the guys. And so I feel that it's really important for everybody just to kind of have sports as an escape. And so sports, the competition, the friendships that you make, and also learning. You learn so much, whether it's learning how to be a leader, learning how to work with the team, and learning that you're always going to have bad days. That's what makes me smile in sports.
You mentioned that you play both with physical disabilities and able-bodied athletes. Tell me how that came about and the work of your foundation a little bit. I mean, inclusion is really important, obviously. How are you accomplishing that?
So yeah, 3 years ago, my dad and I went to our first track and field competition in Oklahoma. And I think it was during the long jump where we kind of brought up the question, why do we have to go to Tornado Alley in tornado season to run, jump, and throw stuff? We should have that kind of programming for athletes with physical disabilities in LA. And so that's when the dream began, and we've sort of made it happen from then on. And so I feel like there's 20% of the world's population has a physical disability, and like the Special Olympics, they cover people with cognitive disabilities, but there's no real programming except for the Paralympics, which is only for elite athletes, for people with physical disabilities. And so that's really where we wanted to come in and kind of support the disabled community. And so this will be coming on to our 3rd year now.
Jair, what makes you smile in sport?
Every day during school, I just can't wait for the school day to be over just to get to practice. Because it's just a lot of fun. It's like a big family. I love my coaches, my teammates, and it's just where I feel like I'm at home and I feel comfortable at practice and with my teammates.
Yeah, you mentioned your coach who's here with you today. And what is it in a coach? What's the character trait that makes a great coach?
Well, my coach, he doesn't just teach me sports. He teaches me life skills, such as eye-to-eye contact, firm handshake. He taught me food etiquette, and he's just introduced me to many different people, and I have many different opportunities, such as this right here. I'm here today. He's the reason why I'm here today.
That's great. Sir Joy, what do you like about sport?
Definitely I would say being part of a family. I'm on a girls' water polo team, and so, you know, we fall together and we support each other, and also having that sense of competition within the family. I mean, I don't compete with my mom, but like being able to compete with someone who's on my team it creates like a different situation. And I'm an only child, and so having, I guess, like 25 sisters around, like giving us an opportunity to fight with each other, and then to also to support each other when we're down is something that is bigger than just, you know, going to school and then playing water polo. I think that's something that I definitely value. And I also play sports that aren't team sports, but in a way, in any sport you play, you're able to kind of make it a team sport in itself. Like with diving, I don't necessarily have, our points don't all go to the same, I guess like the same collective pot, but by diving with the people on my team, whenever someone has like a terrible flop, they come out with, you know, welts on their back. You give them a high five. You're like, good job, bro. Like, better luck next time. You know, we cry together and we support each other, and that's something that I definitely would say makes sports unique.
Kayla, what's fun and what's tough about sport?
Well, the fun part, I'd agree with Sarah Joy. I love my team. We all share like this bond together, and I definitely love my doubles partner since I play third doubles, and our coach seems to be like trying to split us up because he doesn't, I don't know why, but but probably because we goof around too much. But I love her because we just like so much time together. And yeah, the tough part is people trying to either like bring you down or split you apart and just not encourage you enough, as much as they should.
Yes.
So my favorite part about sport is getting to see your hard work pay off. A lot of times you have to put in extra practices or extra trainings, and some of the things you have to do is never fun, but I think it's even more evident in sports than in other walks of life, where you have this obstacle or a challenge to overcome, and you can see your hard work and continued dedication sort of pay off when you're successful.
How did you transition that hard work as an athlete into the community outreach stuff? At 17 years old, you're a veteran of athlete advocacy and community outreach programming. Similarities between the two efforts?
Yeah, definitely. So I think as my organization has grown, there are a lot of unforeseen challenges that we're going to face. And so in handling all of those, I always go back to everything I've learned from sports, starting with the responsibility and dedication to your team. That's the same responsibility I have to the kids my organization is serving. And also I think the biggest thing is the leadership that I've had to learn through sports, through working together as a team, that I've been able to transition into leading an organization and trying to grow the organization as well.
All right. So, you know, we've identified, there's so much good about sport that we know, you know, better classroom performance and behavioral, less behavioral issues and work ethic. We know all of that. But, you know, in today's discussion, we're trying to figure out how to make sport better. So that would require acknowledging that it's not a perfect system. And let me follow that by saying, how do we improve youth sport experience? Ezra?
Well, I think one of the reasons that many kids don't try and then quit sports is because they're afraid of failing. Excuse me. There's many kids that you see that think they're bad at something when they've only taken 2 or 3 shots or 2 or 3 jumps and immediately kind of label themselves as, I'm not good enough to do this. And I think that for kids to get back into sports, I think the community really has to support them. And we all have to realize that when anybody starts out as any sport, whether it's Stephen Curry or LeBron James, they weren't automatically great. It took years and years of practice and hard work for them to reach their goals. And so I think when many kids try sports, it's like, oh, I can't do this, I'm not good enough. But they haven't really tried. So the only way you're going to find out if you're good enough, or because everybody is if you work hard.
Jair, how do we make sports better?
Well, just make it fun. For example, thank you. For example, such as my coach, he just doesn't see me as an athlete. He sees me as an athlete, a student, and like one of his kids. Like, he knows what's going on with me, not just, oh, I'm a good player. He knows that what's going on at home, in school, and just, he knows me. So I think a coach should just know their players more than just an athlete.
Yeah. I remember my father was a successful swimmer, and the only advice he gave me throughout my entire career, back before I was good and before I'd swim at the Olympics, was have fun. Never tried to teach me how to do a faster flip turn or better freestyle. Have fun was his only message, and it was embraced. So, Serge, what would you do to improve the sport experience?
Definitely, I would say one of the most important things I think is making sure that the coaches know how to support their athletes properly. It makes it more fun if your coach is not just there to push you and to make you better, but is also there as a role model and someone who teaches you, like he was saying, life skills and kind of helps you understand how to connect with other people. And I think, those coaches that kind of like nip the athletes in the butts for being mean to each other, and making sure that each athlete understands how to be on a cohesive team is really important. And so being on a sport with a coach that really cared about the athletes' well-being, not just whether or not they were able to win, made it a lot more fun.
Kayla?
I think that I started track camp over the summer before freshman year just to try things out. And we were doing really hard conditioning Monday through Friday for like 3 hours in the morning at a time. And the thing that made it fun for me was the change in environment. On Thursdays, we would go down, have a beach day, and still do hard work, but have a lot of fun along with it, because it's just a different place that you can get used to. And then I guess also being able to play enough, because my tennis coach right now, sometimes it gets really boring for us because he repeats the same things over and over again, which I mean is good, but most of the time he talks longer than we get to play, and we only have an hour or two after school to play, so.
This is good. This is good. Emmy?
I think a big thing we can do to enhance experience in sports is getting more kids involved. And a big obstacle to that a lot of people might not even know about is kids physically not having the equipment necessary to play sports. And so especially when that comes to schools in impoverished communities where they just can't afford to provide equipment to the kids, I think we'd be able to get a lot more kids involved if we were to find ways to provide kids that equipment that they need and engage more kids in athletics.
I don't have $1 million, but if I gave each of you $1 million, how would you apply it to get more kids involved in sport, to attract kids, to avoid this experience where, Ezra, you mentioned somebody tries it, they say, I'm no good at it, it's not for me, and they walk away. How would you best apply $25,000 or $1 million or any amount of money?
I mean, it depends on how much money I have to give away.
Let's blue sky this thing,
Okay.
as much as you want. I'll give it to the giant check later.
But if I had $1 million, I would definitely give some of the money to equipment, give some to training, and then I would give some to my organization that my dad and I have founded, because I feel like there's so many sports that able-bodied people can do. They can go to a basketball gym and suddenly play a pickup game. But people in wheelchairs, they can't go to the rec and play like a person standing up. So I feel like there has to be so much more sports opportunities for athletes with physical disabilities, because many of them were born able-bodied and got a serious injury, either became paralyzed or lost a couple limbs, and now they're in this sort of depression stage that everybody goes through after they have lost a leg, a limb, or sometimes even a family member or a close friend. Everybody has that sort of depression, and I think sports is a really good, like what I was saying, escape for everybody, and especially people with disabilities, because when you get hit by a car, hit by a train, and you lose a leg, a limb, or a serious injury, you're paralyzed suddenly, you lose all hope and you feel like you're alone. And so I think when coming to our events, coming to the Angel City Games, and coming to these clinics, you realize that you're not alone. And there's so many other people in the world that are just like you. And so I think that's what I'd do with my $1 million.
If I had $1 million to invest in sports, I would create a food plan, because some kids, they won't eat all day and still go to practice and put in 110%. So, and not knowing that it's really unhealthy just not to eat all day. So therefore I'll put healthy snacks that kids will like, and after school, like before practice, so kids won't go to practice on an empty stomach, still putting in all they can, trying to just play sports. So that's what I would do with my money.
Yeah. Sarah Joy?
I definitely would say I would put it into building facilities. I know there's, my best friend is an ice skater, and the ice rink by my house was just recently closed down. And then I know a couple of the pools that are in in LA City that I work for right now have been shut down because there's not enough money to support them. And that's something that's very important. I know California has a lot more swimmers and water polo players and certain sports than others, but I still think it's important to have facilities for the athletes to practice at. So if we don't have, like a pool is not something water polo is not something, or swimming is not something you can do outside of the water. So running, I know, let's say you're training outside of the state or something, you can go, especially if you do cross country, you can go, run or do a hike or something, but you can't exactly swim on a hike, So having a facility or somewhere where someone can practice is extremely important. I think a lot of people forget that oftentimes, that just like the equipment that's needed, there are a lot of things that go into being an athlete for these specific sports. So I think just funding different facilities that are important for the sports that aren't as common in our area would be where I would put the money.
Let me ask all of you, do you have difficulty getting space? I mean, if you go down to the basketball court to use it, or the pool, you're part of an organized program that's operating out of there, but is space a challenge?
Sometimes it is, yeah. So I know with the high school, we're only allowed to practice until 4:30, and the baseball team owns their field, so they can practice until 6 if they need to. And our coach tried to get space to practice ahead of school, but we'd have to raise a lot of money for that. And that's something that the school definitely looks into. And because swimming is not the biggest sport at our school, they don't really put a lot of money into it. So I would say that space is an issue.
And you've recently become a lifeguard, is that right?
Yeah, so this May I went through a lifeguard academy and I graduated.
Have you made any saves yet?
Yeah, I've made 2.
Saved 2 lives, that's not bad. Lifesaver, add that to your list of titles as well. Kayla, tell us, if you had $1 million, how do you make sport better?
I think I would invest the money in sports that don't get much attention, especially at different high schools. Like in mine, everybody makes fun